The restaurant buzzed with quiet chatter, silverware clinking against china as waiters moved in perfect rhythm. But in one corner at a private table sat a man whose presence drew glances without effort. The billionaire investor everyone knew from the news. His watch gleamed. His voice calm as he spoke to a group of men in suits around him. Papers lay scattered, one of them encased carefully in a clear folder. The priceless document, he called it, the one that would close a deal worth billions. Was just a waitress that night, tray balanced in one hand as I served their table. I wasn't supposed to listen, but I caught a glimpse of the document when he laid it down. The logo at the top, the font, something about it made my stomach twist. I'd seen that same design before years ago when my father had lost everything to a scam. It looked exactly the same. When I leaned in to pour his drink, I noticed something even smaller, but impossible to miss: the wrong signature. The name was spelled with an extra letter no one without training would ever notice. My hands trembled, but I said nothing, not yet. What did it matter if a billionaire got tricked? He'd survive it. Still, my gut wouldn't let it go. Minutes later, I passed the table again and heard him say, "If this goes through, we'll own the entire company by morning." That was it. My heart dropped. I knew what was coming. He was about to sign away billions on a lie, sir, I said carefully, standing by his chair. He glanced up impatiently. "We're in the middle of a meeting." He looked ready to dismiss me, but I met his eyes steady and said, "I'm sorry, but that document, it isn't real." The table went silent. Forks stopped mid-air, every man turning to stare at me. The billionaire's face hardened. "What did you just say?" The billionaire's chair scraped the marble floor as he stood, his eyes narrowing with irritation. "You're accusing me of not knowing my own deal," he said, his tone sharp enough to cut. The other men shifted in their seats, hiding smirks. The waitress straightened her shoulders, her hands trembling but her voice calm. "I'm not accusing you, sir. I'm just saying that document isn't what you think it is." He crossed his arms, amused but angry. "And what exactly makes you think that you'd know better than a room full of lawyers?" She swallowed hard, then took a deep breath. "The logo in the corner," she said quietly, "it's printed in the wrong shade. That company updated their branding 6 months ago. The real document would have the new one, and the signature at the bottom, the name's spelled wrong. It's missing the second T in Whitaker." The room froze. The billionaire frowned, glancing down at the papers. His eyes darted from the logo to the signature to the line she mentioned. His breath hitched as he realized she was right. One of the men at the table stammered, "That's impossible. We received it from corporate this morning." The billionaire's voice dropped low and dangerous. "Get me my legal team now." The waitress stepped back, her pulse racing. "I didn't mean to interrupt, sir. I just didn't want to see anyone get hurt." He looked up at her, eyes sharp but softer than before. "Sit down," he said quietly. "You just saved me from losing everything." The other men scrambled as phones buzzed and panic spread across the room. The billionaire lowered himself back into his seat, staring at the fake document that had nearly cost him his empire. The billionaire sat still for a long moment, the noise around the table fading to a blur. He turned the document slowly in his hands, his eyes tracing every line as realization hardened his face. He looked up at the waitress, who now stood by the wall, her apron clutched nervously in her hands. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. She hesitated. "Lily, sir, Lily." He repeated, nodding once. "You noticed what 10 lawyers and 3 executives didn't." The room went completely silent. He turned to his assistant, his voice cold but steady. "Find out who sent this contract, and who signed it now." The men at the table shifted uneasily, one of them reaching for his phone with shaking hands. The billionaire's gaze snapped to him, sharp as steel. "You knew, didn't you?" His tone was low, but heavy with danger. The man stuttered. "I thought it was legitimate, sir." The billionaire slammed his fist on the table, making the glasses rattle. "You thought wrong. You were ready to sell out this company for a scam." Lily flinched slightly at the sound, but the billionaire's anger, it wasn't for her. He took a breath, forcing calm, then turned back to her. "You saved me from losing everything tonight. You realize that, right?" She shook her head quickly. "I just recognized the logo, sir. My father used to run a small printing company. Before it went under because of forged contracts like that." His expression softened for the first time since she'd met him. You saw what no one else saw because you've lived it, he said quietly. That's something you can't learn from a degree. Looked at his assistant again. Arrange for Miss Lily to meet me in my office tomorrow morning. I think I have a job that suits her attention to detail better than waiting tables. Her mouth fell open. Sir, I can't. He smiled faintly. You already did. More than most people ever will. You earned this. The next morning, Lily walked into the billionaire's office, her hands trembling as she clutched her worn purse. The elevator doors opened to a space made of glass and silence, the kind that made people feel small, but somehow she didn't. Not after last night. The billionaire stood by the window suit, pressed hair immaculate, but his eyes warmer than before. He turned as she entered, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. Sit, Lily. She obeyed quietly, unsure what to expect. He studied her for a long moment before speaking. You said last night your father lost everything because of forged documents. She nodded softly. Yes, sir. It ruined him. He trusted the wrong people. And we lost our home. That's why I recognized the print on that fake. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. You turned your pain into perception. That saved me my company and hundreds of jobs. I can't ignore. That he slid a folder across the desk. Inside was an employment contract, her name printed neatly at the top. She blinked, reading aloud, Head of Verification and Document Integrity. He smiled. You'll work directly with me reviewing major deals. If anyone can spot a lie before it costs lives, it's you. Her eyes filled as her voice broke. Sir, I don't have a degree for this. He shook his head. You've got something rarer than that. You have experience and instinct. You have truth. She stared at the paper, then at him, whispering, Thank you. He smiled faintly. No, Lily, thank you. You reminded me that the smartest people in the room aren't always the richest ones. She left his office that morning holding the contract, close tears of relief and disbelief shining in her eyes. If this story moved you, share it, so others never forget that one selfless act can rewrite a destiny in ways no one sees coming.